Afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Lawrence Wargaming. We're going to have a little bit of a shorter one here for Thursday. I just want to talk for just a minute about Chaos Space Marines, and specifically Night Lords, who I like a lot. It's my Chaos Space Marine army. I own, in case you weren't already aware, if you heard me talk about in other videos, I own a total of 6 different armies. 2 of them are ones I've expanded. When I first came back to the game, I had Craft Worlds and Drukhari laying around that were very old, some of them dating back to when Drukhari first came out at the beginning of 3rd edition. Some Craft World stuff dating back more than 10, sometimes 15 plus years. And I've since augmented them. I've also added a little bit of Harlequins to it and Inari stuff. And then I have Custodes, Chaos Marines, Marines, and Sisters that were all basically COVID projects. Sisters my favorite, but I'm also pretty fond of Chaos Marines, especially Night Lords. So let's take a quick look at them today. I'm going to try to give you 3 things I like about them, 3 things I'm not so crazy about. But okay, so the thing I like about the Night Lords the best, this is not one of the 3, but I always liked the way they looked. I liked their theme. I liked when I learned about how they were set up in 8th and 9th edition with their stratagems and their overall way of playing. I liked it, even though leadership shenanigans were not great. I just thought it was really cool. And of course, lightning bolt armor is the best. But now that we're in 10th edition, there's several things about it that I really think are pretty great. So first up, generic Chaos Marines, other than the 3 specialty legions, have a really awesome army rules, Dark Pacts. They can make a Dark Pact and get either lethal hits or sustained hits. They can do it by phase, so it's very easy to keep track of. You just declare it on the unit when you want to use it, and then you roll the die. You don't have to do them all and then remember which one is which. There is some risk involved, because this is pretty good, but that's appropriate for Chaos. It's not excessive risk. It does have slight limitations. You cannot, or I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the next one. Now, you can also take Khorne Berserkers, Rubric Marines, and Plague Marines in your armies, so from 3 other armies as part of it, in addition to normal ally rules. So the army rule is pretty awesome. It's flexible. You can use it when you need it and how you need it, and without taking excessive risk. Now, next, the detachment rule is also quite good, and I like it because it synergizes so nicely with the army rule. You can make whichever one of those selections more effective on the appropriate kind of unit by giving them a keyword. And if you're not sure that any of them are appropriate for that particular unit, you just give them Chaos Undivided, and they just always have hit rerolls of 1, which is pretty great. Only real restriction is that you can't put the Khorne keyword on Psychers, and if you have a leader, the leader and the unit have to have the same mark. So that's the first thing I like. And it does also play in the fact that you have stratagems for them that are more useful by mark, and you get 1 extra enhancement. It's just the final little cherry on that particular cake. You get 5 enhancements instead of just 4. Now, they're limited by mark in a way that other armies aren't, but the fact that you get 5 is great. And also the Liber Hereticus, this is amazing. Because you can slap it on something and get a double benefit, plus your hit rolls of 1. So you can fish for those lethal hits and sustain hits for it. Now, second up, next thing that I really think is pretty cool is this guy down here, Haarken World Claimer. Now, this guy, of course, by lore, he's in Black Legion, but really, this guy is a Night Lord. I don't know why he wasn't in Night Lords. He's the only Raptor leader. I don't know that he's the greatest character ever, but he's not terrible. And he's the only jump pack option you have. Plus, he's just unique and interesting and different. And he's honestly, he just seems more like he belongs in the Night Lords than anything else. And now I can actually take him in the Night Lords without having to do weird auxiliary detachment shenanigans to get him into the army. He dishes out mortal wounds on the charge, and he dishes out battle shock. Now, none of this stuff is fantastic, but he's just cool and awesome and fun. And when you put him down here with, let me find the Raptors real quick. They're also going to put -1 on that battle shocker leadership and impose more. So you're still going to be doing your battle shock shenanigans for Night Lords with this guy and them. So that's number 2. I'm really happy to have access to Haarken World Claimer, just because he is really, really fantastic. And then number 3 that I'm pretty happy about is this. Oop. Actually, that's part of it too. I could get me a Land Raider and get the same benefits as everybody else. Okay. So you can get, with your Terminators, now you get full hit rerolls, and with all those different, the lethal hits, sustained hits, now you have a real reason to take all these, especially the Reaper autocannons. I always like the autocannons better than the heavy flamers. Now, before I think the heavy flamers were the play, but now you want to be taking the autocannons, and part of the reason is that the heavy flamer, because it automatic hits, it can't get lethal or sustained hits. So a big brick of these with double autocannons, and then even better, this guy, you can put him in there, reroll your advance and charge, and you get additional, you can death hex something, and get improved armor penetration and mortal wounds, and that's pretty awesome. You can also use him to tank a hit by changing the damage characteristics to 0. The Chaos Sorcerer Terminator is just cool, and I've always liked him a lot because of his awesome helmet with his big blade spikes coming off the side and his cool looking staff. Pretty happy about him. And the Chaos Lord in Terminator armor, he is actually not bad either. You can also, he takes half damage. Doesn't do as much for the Terminators, but I do like that half damage capability there. So those are my 3 top things that I think are great going on in the Chaos Marines. And you can by using the keywords and picking the units, you can tailor your Legion without being saddled with basically terrible stratagems and a terrible faction trait like Night Lords were last. Well, I guess their stratagems were terrible. Their Legion trait kind of was. And it really, really hurt them a lot because their previous problem was that they were a melee army who had nothing that really helped them get into melee. That was where I was thinking of with the terrible stratagems. They weren't terrible overall, but they didn't do the one thing that they really needed to do. Now, there are about 3 things, though, that I want to point out that I'm not thrilled with. And number 1, you've already heard me say, and that is I'm very unhappy that they've moved the Demon Engines to only being tournament legal, I guess, main rules in Horus Heresy. I don't know why you would do that. The models were not for that. They were released for 40K. They're 40K models. And they're not ones that are Horus Heresy models that were imported. I'm not talking about the Leviathan Dreadnought or the Dredero Dreadnought or any of that kind of nonsense. I'm talking about the Demon Engine specifically. There's about 4 of them, I think. The Decimator, the Brass Scorpion, the Chitin Ravager, a couple others that belong in 40K. So please, Games Workshop, bring those back to 40K. That's just ridiculous. The second thing that, this is a little bit more minor, but it is not ideal. Okay. The Dark Apostle here. Now this guy is a little bit of a problem with the new leader rules. And why is that? Well, now he consists of 3 models, and yet he's kind of an infantry leader. Who does he lead? Accursed cultists, chosen cultist mobs, or legionnaires. Okay, this is not as bad. This is another thing actually I should have put in the likes, is they don't seem to suffer as badly from inappropriate leader choices, although they do have some that I'm going to get to in a second. This guy's leadership choices are appropriate, but the problem here is this. He's 3 models. Now, take a look at this. Okay. The Rhino has a 12 model capacity, not 13. So if you put him in there with a full-sized squad of chosen or legionnaires, Well, let's take a look here. Chosen come in squads of 5 or 10, and Legionnaires come in squads of 5 or 10. So you either have to sacrifice 5 models worth of transport capacity. Yeah, that's 4 models worth of transport capacity, and take a minimum size squad, or you can't fit him in there with them if he's leading. So you can't do that. Now, I don't know how bad that is on the Rhino, but the Land Raider, which all of a sudden you might want to take, is also limited to 12. And you may want to take this thing because it has this awesome assault ramp, just like the regular one does. So that means that really hurts the Dark Apostle, who is otherwise one of my favorites because he looks so cool. And he's really not a bad thing. He gives +1 to wound, which is great, especially for those melee options that are having hard time wounding high toughness things. And he can also dish out some extra mortal wounds by just sacrificing his little cultists, who no longer seem to really do much of anything else. So those are that's a little extra pain he can put out by getting rid of them. Now, granted, he can do that, and then he can get in the transport once he got rid of one of them. So that helps a little bit. But when you want to be in the transport, it's probably at the beginning of the battle, when you're going to have the least opportunity to put them to use. Okay, so that's the second thing. Now, the third thing is that they do have their share of inappropriate leader choices. And there are 2 that I think are particularly dismaying, and that is, number 1 is the Lord Discordant. Cannot lead anything. Now, this guy's already huge. He is fairly dangerous. He's gonna be somewhat more. He's going to be somewhat more limited in his capabilities now because of the melee limitations, although he does get this anti-vehicle thing right here that kind of helps against vehicles. So you can put that in for a little help with those high-toughness tanks and stuff. Helps so much against monsters. And the Hellstalker autocannon actually seems like it's at least decent now. 3 shots, strength 9, AP -1, damage 3. With 3 shots, it actually probably makes it a little bit in a longer range. This may be the play now as opposed to the Bale Flamer, which is more limited strength 6. But he cannot lead anything, and I'm not crazy about that. I do think that the Lord Discordant should still be able to lead Chosen and Legionnaires and maybe even Terminators, just because of his mechanical capabilities, or Obliterators, maybe something like that. He's a leader. He's always been a leader. You could make him your warlord. I don't know why he can't lead anything. And then the other guy that I do not. Oops. This guy, the Heretic Astartes Demon Prince with Wings. Okay, what are you talking about? This guy can't lead Raptors? He can't lead Warp Talons? Why not? I just got one of these guys, and I feel very, very leery of slapping him out on the table without the ability to lead a unit. Probably will try it at some point. And I like about that, these demonic allegiances that he gets over here. Pretty awesome, because he gets this as well as the other benefits. He dishes out mortal wounds on the charge, and he forces Battle Shock. Well, Battle Shock isn't great, but it does help. But he can't lead. At a bare minimum, he's a demon, so are Warp Talons. He should have been able to lead Warp Talons. I don't know why he can't. And that makes me sad. But anyhow, overall, I do think, I feel like Chaos Marines are kind of pretty much in the hunt right now. They're a nice middle-of-the-pack army, real solid. They're not blowing the world away. They're not running up horrendous win rates, but they're not getting blasted off the table either. I think they're pretty well balanced, and I am anxious to play them for the first time. I haven't had a chance to yet, but I will be happy to see, I think, how they perform, especially since mine will no longer be saddled with terrible, terrible leadership mechanics. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment down below, and click the notifications bell for more great content from Wilderness Wargaming, and we'll see you back here real soon. Bye-bye.